The Microsoft stock price has once again pushed out to fresh all-time highs this month. It's come off a little over the last couple of days, but the strength is continuing with earnings coming up in a week's time. Are we about to see even more all-time highs from the Microsoft price? I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at Microsoft. It's had a great 15 months or so since the March 2020 lows, but the price has been rising anyway, over the years. But this year, it has really got a move on and pushed out to fresh all-time highs. We've got a great trend in place off the March 2020 lows. That's still continuing, bit of a pullback during May, but considering where it is now, can we expect more strength? We've got the earnings to focus on over the next week. Is there going to be a pullback, or is there going to be a point when that strength does run out of steam? So as usual, in this video, I'll talk a bit more about the most recent earnings, the upcoming earnings, what to watch out for, and the levels to watch. Then we'll come back onto the chart and take a look at things in a bit more detail. Hello, I'm David Jones from Capital.com, and I thought this time around we'd do an update on Microsoft, considering the stock has continued to push out to fresh all-time highs. So as usual, we'll have a catch up on the recent news, a look ahead to their earnings, which are due out before the end of this month. Then we'll jump back onto the platform, take a look at the charts and the technicals in a bit more detail and see if there's any further clues in there about whether they're set to push higher still. If you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, if you could click on subscribe, it does help support the channel, and it means we can continue to push out lots of different content on all the stocks we cover throughout the week. Right, let's get into it and take a look at Microsoft in a bit more detail. So a quick bit of history. The company was founded in 1975 by Paul Allen and Bill Gates, of course, and it came to the market in 1986. So you've been able to buy stock in Microsoft for the last 35 years. It's probably best known, of course, for its operating system, Windows. It's run PCs for many decades now, but of course we also have the Office suite of products used by many businesses and individuals, Internet Explorer, although not so much these days, and its gaming platform, the Microsoft Xbox. The share price has been a strong performer over the last 5 years. The shares are up by more than fivefold, and that performance has continued this year. So for the year to date, at time of recording, the stock of Microsoft has increased by 27% in 2021. There have been strong numbers supporting the rise. The last earnings we had back in April, the market was expecting earnings of around $1.78 a share, but they came in comfortably beating by about 10%. So Microsoft's last earnings were $1.95 per share. But we're looking ahead. The next earnings are due out on the 27th of July. Looking at the stock price, it seems that the market has fairly high expectations. We're expecting revenue and earnings per share to be up on comparison with the same quarter a year ago. As the company continues to hit fresh all-time highs, showing strength, it's now a company with a value in excess of $2 trillion. It makes it the second largest company in the S&P 500, just ahead of Amazon and just below Apple. But can we expect this strength to continue? Let's take a look at the levels to watch, then we'll jump back onto the platform and take a look at the charts. So I think the most immediate hurdle on the upside, the all-time high hit recently, up at $284 a share. I think after that, we're just looking at psychological levels with, I think, 300 an obvious target if we see 284 taken out. On the downside, some good support left on the way up. For me, the most immediate support, this month's lows at 274. After that, we'll look back to the June lows coming in at 264. But as usual, let's put some color on these numbers. Let's take a look at the chart and the technicals in a bit more detail. I thought we'd start things off with a 20-day moving average. And of course, a moving average is great in trending markets, not so good in sideways markets, but we've had a clear trend for Microsoft that has continued. We get buy signals when the price moves above the moving average, like here, beginning of the year, as the price moved through 220. Sell signals when the price falls below, here at the end of April, as the price fell through about 255. The latest signal we had for Microsoft was just at the beginning of June, with that price moving up through about 247, 250. And the stocks continued higher since then. I think what's quite interesting, and you can sometimes see this, where the moving average, the 20-day moving average in this example, acts almost like a floating support line on the way up, almost like a variable trend line. And we have seen that play out on the way up. At the moment, that moving average is sitting around about $276. So if we saw the stock price fall below there, that could suggest a sell signal from the moving average and perhaps something of a pullback. Let's take a look at the RSI. So not surprising, the RSI did push into overbought in late June. As we saw the stock price continuing to strengthen. It's often the case in strong trending markets. Indicators overbought, oversold indicators like RSIs will try and get you to go against the trend perhaps a bit too early. So I think we have to be careful paying attention to them. But what's interesting, I think, in Microsoft and this 10-day RSI is this setup known as bearish divergence. And it's where the price sets a high, the RSI sets a high, the price moves higher still, but the RSI has made a lower high. So it can be a suggestion that perhaps the trend you're following is running out of steam. We did have a variation on it back here in April at the April highs, with the price pushed higher into the 27th of April, but the RSI was already falling. So that's perhaps a note of caution in the short term about how overextended the RSI at least thinks the stock price may have got. But if we go back and focus on the price, we've got this trend going back over the last few years anyway, but I've picked up on the move off the March lows last year. And you see it's done a pretty good job, this trend line on the way up. Quite a few touches confirming the trend line. That trend line at the moment is coming in around $260 for the stock. And I think if we did see it weaken to there, so what's that, a 7%, 8% fall from where we are now, I think it could be an interesting area to watch because it was pretty much near the previous all-time high from late April. So I think if we did see it get knocked back to 260, some technical analysts would take the view, well, it's just a pullback to that broader uptrend and actually view it as a buying opportunity. I think there's a whole bunch of support really going back just ahead. These are only the lows from just over a couple of months ago, around about 237 on the downside. So I think this whole 237 to 260 area, if we did see a sell-off, it would be interesting to watch to see if we see the buyers come back in. But at the moment, you can't argue with the trend and the overall strength in this one. So I think if we did see the market break that 284 resistance, the all-time high so far, then 300 looks like a fairly logical target, I'd have thought, from a momentum point of view. Shorter term traders may be watching some of the lows where it paused before pushing up to fresh all-time highs. So about 274, I think, for short-term traders. Be interesting to see if we did get a bit of weakness from here. Does that level end up being support? But overall with Microsoft, that trend is clearly up. We've got a succession of higher highs and higher lows. And for now, at least, if we did get a bit of weakness, perhaps over these earnings, it would have to be a fairly substantial fall from where we are now to change that trend. That's it for the update on Microsoft. We'll see how the market reacts to the earnings at the end of this month. We'll come back in the future and do another update. But for now, from me, David Jones and Capital.com, good luck with your investing. For more trading videos just like this, please subscribe to our channel.